चालकोलिथिक एंड अर्ली आयरन एज 1। इस ब्लॉक में यू हैव लर्नट इन ब्लॉक नंबर 2 you have learnt about the antecedent stages and various aspects of the Harappan culture and society. You have also read about its geographical spread and the reasons for its decline and diffusion. In this unit, we shall learn about the post-Harappan, Chalcolithic and early Iron Age cultures of northern, western and central and eastern India. After reading this unit, you will be able to know about the geographical location and adaptation of the people to local conditions, the kind of houses they lived in, the varieties of food they grew, and the kinds of tools and implements they used, the varieties of potteries used by them, the kinds of religious beliefs they had, and the changes occurring during the early Iron Age. Introduction. By the 2nd millennium BC, several regional cultures sprang up in different parts of Indian subcontinent. These were non-urban, non-Harappan and were characterized by the use of stone and copper tools. Hence, these cultures are termed as Chalcolithic cultures. The Chalcolithic cultures are identified on the basis of their geographical location. Thus, we have the Banas culture, Kaitha culture, Malwa culture and the Jorve culture. The Banas culture located in the Banas basin in Rajasthan, the Kaith culture types at Kaitha on the banks of the river Kali Sindh, an affluent of the Chambal, and represented by other sites in the central India in the Narmada, Tapi and Mahi valleys. Malwa culture, Malwa and extended into other parts of Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra, and Jorve culture, Maharashtra. A type site of these cultures have been excavated. We have been able to form a detailed idea about such dimensions of them as pattern of settlement, pattern of economy, mortuary practices and religious beliefs. In addition to the cultural materials of this phase found at excavated sites in parts of UP, Haryana, Rajasthan, Bihar, West Bengal, Odisha and Karnataka, are found caches of copper bronze objects. As these have been found in hordes, about 1,000 objects altogether from 85 sites in the above mentioned states. These sites were thought to represent a distinct copper hoard culture. At Saipai in Etawah district, a site in UP, a copper harpoon has been found in association with a pottery known as the OCP, ochre colored pottery. Though some of the other copper hoard sites have yielded OCP, the copper objects are not found in direct association with the OCP. As more than 100 sites have yielded this characteristic pottery in the Ganga Yamuna Doab, these sites are described as belonging to the OCP culture. The OCP culture is succeeded by black and red ware and painted grey ware cultures, which are distinguished by diagnostic pottery types. In North India, there is a distinct concentration of painted grey ware PGW sites in Haryana and Upper Ganga Valley, of which 30 have been excavated. Iron makes its appearance in the PGW culture, painted grey ware culture, and in the ensuing phase, known as the Northern Black Polished Ware NBPW culture. Its use becomes more widespread. Starting from the 6th century BC, we also see the beginning of the urbanization. Terms like BRW culture, PGW culture, and NBP culture needs to be clarified here. These cultures are described by the pottery types only because that particular pottery happens to be a distinctive feature of that culture, though there may be many other aspects of that culture. The pottery type is used only to give an identity or name to a specific culture. For example, in a particular region where painted grey ware is found, the culture of that site is described as PGW culture. To understand the cultural developments after the decline of Harappan civilization, we should begin with northern India, especially the Ganga Yamuna Doab. Ochre colored pottery culture, OCP culture. A new pottery type was discovered in trial excavations conducted in 1950 at Bisauli in Badaun district and Rajpur Parso, Bijnor district in UP, both of them being copper hoard sites. This pottery is made of medium grained clay under fired and has a wash of ochre which has a tendency to rub off, ranging from orange to red. Hence, those sites associated with this wear are ascribed to OCP culture. So far, more than 100 sites which extend from Mayapur in Saharanpur district to Saipai in Etawah district UP have been discovered. OCP sites are generally located on river banks. These sites are small in size and mounds have a low height at many of the sites. Example, Bahadrabad, Bisauli, Rajpur Parsu, Saipai. This indicates a relatively short duration of these settlements. The distance between settlements varies from 5 to 8 km at some of the OCP sites. Example, Ambakheri, Baheria, Bahadrabad, Jinjana, Lal Kila, Ataranji Khera, Saipai. Excavations have revealed no signs of regular habitation. At Hastinapur and Ahichhatra, there is a break in occupation between the OCP culture and succeeding PGW culture. While at Ataranji Khera, the OCP settlements are succeeded by black and red ware pottery. The material remains of OCP culture are mostly in the form of pottery. These consist of jars including storage jars, bowls, ring-footed bowls, flasks, handle pots, miniature pots, basins, spouts, etc. The other objects comprise terracotta bangles, beds of terracotta and carnelian, terracotta animal figurines and cartwheels with the central knob, stone cones and pestles and bone points. A copper harpoon has been found in the OCP stratum at Saipai. Not much evidence is available regarding structures. From the evidence recorded at the Lal Kila, which is scanty, it is known that the floors were made of rammed earth. The structures consisted of wattle and daub houses. This is suggested on the basis of the burnt mud plaster and mud clods with reed and bamboo impressions being found at Lal Kila. Archaeobotanical remains recovered at Ataranji Kheda and related to this culture indicate that rice, barley, gram and kesari were grown. On the basis of similarity in pottery types, some scholars believe that the OCP represented a degenerated form of the late Harappan society. On the basis of thermoluminescence dates obtained from OCP pottery, the culture has been ascribed to 2000 BC से 1500 BC, 2000 BC to 1500 BC. The problems of copper hoards. The first discovery of a copper object, a copper harpoon, that belonged to the copper hoard culture was made as early as 1822 at a place called Bithur in Kanpur district. Since then, nearly 1000 copper objects have been found in hoards from 85 sites. तो मेन स्टेट्स कौन कौन सी? हरियाणा, राजस्थान, यूपी, बिहार, वेस्ट बंगाल, उड़ीसा, मध्य प्रदेश, कर्नाटका. It is possible that the copper hoard objects have been found in other states like Gujarat and Andhra Pradesh, but have not yet been properly reported. The copper objects found in a hoard range from 1 to 47, excepting at Gungeria in Madhya Pradesh, where a single hoard contained 424 objects. These copper hoards came to light while plugging a field, digging a canal, or making a road. That is, all of them were accidental discoveries. It is only at Saipai that a copper harpoon was found in excavation in a stratum associated with OCP. These copper objects are classified into several types. The main types are celts, rings, harpoons, antennae swords, hooked swords, anthropomorphs, and double axes. Considering the occurrence of copper harpoon in association with the OCP at Saipai and the fact that copper hoards have been found at other OCP sites, though not in a direct archaeological association, they can be related to the OCP culture. In this way, the period of the copper hoards can also be ascribed to 2000 BC to 1500 BC. Next, black and red ware culture. Excavations at Ataranji Kheda in the early 1960s reveal a distinct horizon. Sandwiched between OCP and PGW levels, this horizon has a characteristic pottery called black and red ware. A similar stratigraphic sequence has been discovered in the 1970s at Jodhpura and Nuh in Rajasthan, but at Ahichhatra, Hastinapur and Alamgirpur, BRW is found associated with PGW pottery. द कैरेक्टर हम क्या पढ़ रहे हैं, हम पढ़ रहे हैं BRW कल्चर, ठीक है। द पॉटरी, द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक फीचर ऑफ BRW pottery are the black color inside and near the rim on outside and a red color over the rest of the body. This color combination, it is believed, has been produced by inverted firing. The pottery is mostly wheel turned, though some pots are also handmade. It is made of fine clay and has a fine fabric with thin walls. Black and red ware pottery with paintings has also been found at sites in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, and West Bengal. But in the BRW of the Doab area, there is absence of paintings. Other objects in the excavations at Ataranji Kheda have been found fragments of stones, waste flakes, chips, cores of quartz, chalcedony, agate, and carnelian. One bed each of carnelian, shell, and copper, a copper ring, and a fragment of comb made of bone. No stone or metal tools have been found. Jodhpura has yielded a bone spike. From no shapeless piece of iron, a terracotta bed and a bone spike have been discovered. Black red ware in the Doab and other regions. Some scholars see affinities between the BRW of Ataranji Kheda and Gilund and Ahar of southern Rajasthan on the basis of a comparison of fabric, texture, and burnishing. But these are differences as well as in the shape and designs of the potteries found in these areas. The important feature of Doab, black and red ware, also of that at Noh, is its plain surface devoid of any painting. The BRW found at Gilund and Ahar, on the other hand, is painted in white and is painted in white on black color, on black surface. There are also typological differences. The painted BRW from Ahar has pronounced carinated concave sides and the fabric is coarse. The plain BRW of the Doab has no carination and the fabric is fine. The dish with featureless rim and concave sides present in large numbers in the BRW of the Doab is absent at Ahar and Gilund. Bowls with spouts and dish on stand present at Ahar and Gilund have not been found in the Doab sites. It is important to note that black and red ware, with some variations from regions to region, has a wide distribution. It occurs from Rupad in the north to Adi Chanalur in the south, and from Amra and Lakhabwal in the west to the Pandu Raja Dibbi in the east. It also covers a vast time span from 2400 BC to the early centuries of the Christian era. Painted grey ware culture. Since the first discovery of the PGW at Ahichatra in 1946, a huge number of sites have been found have been brought to light in different parts of North India. Out of these, 30 sites have been excavated. Some of the well-known excavated sites are Rupad in Punjab, Bhagwanpura in Haryana, Noh in Rajasthan, Alamgirpur, Ahichatra, Hastinapur, Ataranji Kheda, Jakheda, and Mathura, all in UP. The concentration of PGW sites is in the Indo-Gangetic Divine Haryana, Sutlej Basin, and Upper Ganga basins, Upper Ganga plains. Settlements are located along river banks. The average distance from one side to the another is about 10 km to 12 km, though in some cases it is also 15 km. It is also 5 km. The settlements at these sites are mostly small villages, 1 to 4 hectare, with the exception of Bukhari in Ambala district, Haryana, which is an extensive settlement covering 96,193 square kilometer. Let us examine the various objects that are found associated with the PGW cultures. Pottery. Pottery is wheel made out of well-lavated clay and has a thin core. Pottery has a smooth surface, grey to ash grey in color. Pottery is painted in black and sometimes in a deep chocolate color on the outer as well as in the inner surface. Pottery has nearly 42 designs, and the most common types are bowls and dishes. Structures. The houses and other structures were of wattle and daub. This is indicated by the occurrence of patches of burnt earth, mud bricks, mud platforms, and mud plaster pieces with reed and bamboo impressions in the excavations at Ahichatra, Hastinapur, Ataranji Kheda, and Jakheda. Excavations at Bhagwanpura in Haryana side revealed different structural faces, Post holes in the first phase indicate circular and rectangular huts. In the second phase, one house has 13 rooms with a corridor between the two sets of rooms. This house also has a courtyard. Other objects. A variety of objects made out of copper, iron, glass, and bone were found in excavations. These consist of axes, chisels, fish hooks, and arrowheads. Spearheads are made only of iron. Among the agricultural elements, only a sickle and a hoe made of iron have been found at Jakheda. Iron objects are found at all the sites except Hastinapur. Ataranji Kheda alone has yielded 135 objects: a furnace, iron slag close to the surface, and a pair of tongs. At Jodhpura, there is evidence of two furnaces. It has been suggested that iron ore was procured from other regions. The people were fond of ornaments, beds of terracotta, agate, jasper, carnelian, chalcedony, lapis lazuli, glass, and bone have been found. Two glass bangles were found at Hastinapur, and copper bangles have been found at Jakheda. The terracotta objects comprise human, male and female, and animal, bull and horse figurines, discs, balls, potter stamps, etc. Crops and animal remains. Evidence of cultivated crops is available only at Hastinapur and Ataranji Kheda. At the former site, remains of only rice were found, and the latter has yielded the remains of wheat and barley. Bones of horse, cattle, pig, goat, deer have been found at Hastinapur, Allapur, and Ataranji Kheda. These include both wild as well as domesticated animals. Trade practices and linkages. Beds made of a variety of semi-precious stones like agate, jasper, carnelian, chalcedony, lapis lazuli are found at different PGW sites in the Doab. None of these stones as raw materials are available in the Doab. These items could have been obtained by trade. Agate and chalcedony are found in Kashmir, Gujarat, and Madhya Pradesh, whereas lapis lazuli is to be found in Badakhshan province in Afghanistan. Thus, the people inhabiting the PGW sites must have obtained these stones through trade or exchange with these regions. Certain parallels in shape and size have been found between the PGW and potteries found in the northwestern India, especially the grey ware found in the association with iron seems to indicate some links with the PGW cultures. Northern black polished ware culture. NBPW culture. Like the preceding cultures, the NBPW culture is identified by its distinctive pottery. This ware was first discovered at Takshila in 1930, and because of its black luster, its discoverer then took it as Greek black ware. Since then, nearly 1500 northern black polished ware sites have come to light. They expand from Takshila and Udgram in the northwest to Tamluk in East Bengal and Amravati, Andhra Pradesh in the south. Out of these, about 74 have been excavated. तो इम्पॉर्टेंट एक्सकवेटेड साइट्स कौन सी हैं NPBW की? रोपड़ पंजाब में, राजा करना का किला हरियाणा में, जोधपुरा इन नदन राजस्थान, नोबी नदन राजस्थान, यूपी में अहिछत्रा, हस्तिनापुर, अतरंजी खेड़ा, कौसम्बी, श्रावस्ती, बिहार में वैशाली, पाटलिपुत्र, सोनेपुर और वेस्ट बंगाल में चंद्रकेतुगढ़. The excavations have revealed that at several sites, NBPW culture succeeds PGW levels, and at some sites, the northern black polished ware succeeded the black and red ware, and northern black polished ware is succeeded by the red slipped ware. On the basis of the kind of pottery frequency and associated objects, it has been suggested that two phases can be distinguished in the NBPW culture. Phase 1. This phase is also referred to as the pre-defense phase. This is characterized by a predominance of the NBPW and presence of shreds of BRW and PGW, though in meager quantities. In this phase, there is an absence of punch-marked coins and burnt brick structures, which signify a higher level of development. This phase is represented in Ataranji Kheda, Sravasti and Praladpur. Phase number 2. Pottery specimens belonging to BRW and PGW are not found in this phase. Northern black polished ware is of poor quality, thicker in fabric, and is found in smaller numbers. A coarse grey ware comes into greater use. Punch marked coins and burnt bricks made their first appearance. This phase is represented in Hastinapur, Ataranji Kheda, Sravasti II, and Prahladpur. Taking into account the similarities between northern black polished ware and painted grey ware, some scholars have suggested that the, the NBPW is a refined form of the PGW, and that the difference between the two appears to be confined only to the surface treatment. This has been proved through chemical analysis carried out on the PGW, BRW, and NBPW. As the concentration of NBPW is in the eastern Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, it is held that its origin lies somewhere in this region. It spreads beyond the Ganga plains in later times, and such a spread is attributed to the activities of Buddhist monks and traders. Structures. From the excavations at Hastinapur, Ataranji Kheda, and Kausambi, it becomes evident that during this period, building activities began on a large scale and that cities began to emerge. Excellent evidence of the settlement layout was unearthed at Kausambi. 600 BC में क्या हुआ, was relayed several times, varying in width. अब पता नहीं क्या ले किया गया, 5.5 मीटर से 2.5 मीटर, and continue to function up to 300 AD. Houses were made of burnt bricks, and the use of timber in house construction is evidenced by the post holes and sockets for door jambs. The roofs of houses were covered with tiles. The rooms were square as well as rectangular. All this indicates a fairly planned building activity. This is further demonstrated from excavations at Hastinapur, which have revealed an elaborate drainage system. Some of the settlements were fortified with a mud or brick wall, and moats were constructed encircling the fortification. The fortification wall at Kausambi had guard rooms, towers, and gates at regular intervals. An important question to be asked here is, do these structures tell us anything about the social and political life in that period? They do. For example, the fortifications signify defensive measures against invasive and speak of political tensions. The drainage system not only indicates the concern of the people towards hygiene, but also the advance they had made in this regard. And the large buildings like the fortifications require that a large number of people participate in construction activities. This might need an authority to mobilize the workers. Pottery. The most characteristic feature of northern black polished ware is its glossy surface. It is turned on a fast wheel and is made of well-levigulated clay. The core of the pottery in some cases is as thin as 1.5 mm. In addition to the glossy black surface, the NBPW is also found in gold, golden, silver, white, pinkish, steel blue, chocolate, and brown colors. The recovery of riveted pots, that is made by joining broken pieces from some sites, example Ropad, Sonepur, indicates how valuable the NBPW was. This, along with the presence of other pottery types, leads us to assume that northern black polished ware was a luxury ware not accessible to everybody, and suggest to us that in the society in which the NBPW was used, society was divided into unequal groups. Though northern black polished ware is generally unpainted, some painted shades do occur. Painting is done using yellow and light vermilion colors. The common designs are simple bands, wavy lines, dots, concentric and intersecting circles, semicircles, arches, and loops. The most common pottery shapes are balls, are different kinds of dishes. Other objects. Several kinds of tools, weapons, ornaments, and other objects made of copper, iron, silver, gold, stone, glass, and bone have been recovered from the NBPW sites. They reveal the technological progress achieved during this period, which is further corroborated by the early Buddhist texts, which mention a number of arts and crafts. Jitatakas refer to about 18 guilds, for instance, those of workers in the wood, metal, stone, precious and semi-precious stones, ivory, textiles, etc. The copper objects found at many sites consist of chisels, knives, borers, pins, needles, antimony rods, nail parriers, ferrules, reels, and bangles. Iron objects not only preponderate but also exhibit a great variety in form when compared to the PGW period. The site of Kosambi the site of Kosambi alone has yielded 1115 iron objects from deposits dating between 800 BC to 550 AD. These consist of agricultural implements like hoes, sickles, and tools of craftsmen such as axes, adzes, chisels, and screw rods. Weapons like arrowheads, javelin heads, and spearheads. Miscellaneous objects which include knives, handles of different kinds, hooks, nails, rivets, fish plates, rings, and miniature bells. Silver punch marked coins have been found from the middle phase of NBPW culture. These indicate a possible shift from barter system to a system of exchange of goods through metallic currency. Ornaments. Beds made of semi-precious stones, glass, clay, copper, shell, and bone are most commonly found. The usual shapes are circular, spherical, biconical, cylindrical, barrel, and square. Some beds are also etched. A single bed of gold is known from Kosambi 1B, 300 BC. Among the other ornaments are bangles made of terracotta, faience, glass, shell, stone, and copper, finger rings of copper, iron, horn, and clay, and pendants of terracotta, agate, and carlin. All these finds tell us about the use of ornaments in that society, existence of specialized craftsmen to make them, level of technology for making them, and trade or exchange activities with other regions to procure various semi-precious stones. Terracotta figurines. These comprise human and animal figurines and miscellaneous objects. Human figures in most cases are cast in molds. Male figurines are usually plain excepting a few with a headdress. Female figurines have elaborate headdresses, ear ornaments, necklaces, and girdles. Animal figurines are hand modeled but well executed. These consist of horse, bull, ram, and elephant. The miscellaneous terracotta objects are toy carts, simple and animal-headed gamesmen, discs, balls, flash rubbers, and potter stamps. At a later stage of this culture was found seals and ceilings bearing inscriptions in Brahmi script. All these finds tell us a lot about the people who inhabited these sites. For example, toy carts tell us that carts were used as means of transportation, subsistence economy, and trade. Archaeobotanical remains indicate that rice, wheat, barley, millet, pea, and black gram were cultivated, and the animal remains found from some of the sites suggest dependence on cattle, sheep, goat, pig, and fish. In the occurrence of a diverse variety of beds found to be common at several sites is seen evidence of trade. On this basis, it has been suggested that trade links existed between Takshila, Hastinapur, Aishatra, Sravasti, and Kausambi during 600 BC to 200 BC. Such a view is strengthened by the references made in Buddhist texts to trade guilds and the caravans of camels, horses, mules, oxen, and buffaloes. Between the 6th and 3rd centuries BC, there was trade between India and countries to the west. The main items of export were textiles, spices, and probably finished goods of iron and steel. From the Arthashastra Book 2, it would appear that the state not only exercised control over trade but also had a monopoly over industries like gold, copper, iron, lead, tin, silver, diamond, gems, and precious stones. Next है Chalcolithic cultures of the western, central, and eastern India. There were several local Chalcolithic early farming cultures in western, central, and eastern India which flourished during the 2nd and the 1st millennium BC. These cultures were basically village settlements and they shared certain common elements. The distinctive feature of these cultures are painted pottery, which is mostly black on red, and a highly specialized stone blade, flake industry of siliceous stones. Copper was known, but its use was on a limited scale as the metal was scarce. The settlements consisted of circular and rectangular huts, and in some cases, pit dwellings are also known. The economy was based on farming and animal husbandry. These cultures are named after their type sites. Chalcolithic cultures: Kaitha culture, Ahar culture, और बानस culture, सावाल्दा culture, मालवा culture, प्रभास, रंगपुर और चिरन. कायथा कल्चर जो है कायथा, आहार और बानस और सवाल्दा कल्चर जो है ये 2000 BC से शुरू हो रहे हैं। कायथा 2000 से 1800 BC, आहार और बानस 2000 से 1400 BC, सवाल्दा कल्चर 2000 से 1800 कायथा के समान ही, और मालवा कल्चर 1700 से 1200 BC इन सेंट्रल इंडिया एंड 1700-1400 BC इन महाराष्ट्र। प्रभास 1800 से 1500 BC, रंगपुर 1400 से 700 BC और चिरन 1500 से 750 BC। इन द तापी वैली ऑफ महाराष्ट्र लेड हड़प्पन नॉन अर्बन हैबिटेशंस अबाउट 50 आर नोन 1800 से 1600 BC। The excavations at Daimabad have shown that the late Harappans moved further south into the Pravara Valley, Maharashtra. The Kaith culture is named after the site of Kaith, 25 km east of Ujjain, located on the bank of Kali Sindh and affluent of the river Chambal. The Ahar or Banas culture is named after the river Banas and its type site is Ahar, Udaipur in Rajasthan. More than 50 sites of this culture are known in the valleys of Banas and Berach in southeast Rajasthan. The type site of Savalda culture is Savalda, Dhulia district, Maharashtra. It is mostly confined to the Tapi valley, but the evidence from Daimabad suggests that it reached up to Pravara valley. The Malwa culture was discovered in the excavations at Maheshwar and Navdatoli, Nimar district, Madhya Pradesh, on the banks of Narmada. This culture is so named as a large number of sites were brought to light in the Malwa region. The Malwa people began to migrate to Maharashtra around 1600 BC, and several settlements have been discovered in the Tapi, Godavari and Bhima valleys. Prakash, Dhulia district, Daimabad, Ahmednagar district and Inamgaon in Pune district were the most extensive settlements of the Malwa culture in Maharashtra. The Prabhas and Rangpur cultures respectively are known after the type sites Prabhas, Patan and Rangpur in Gujarat. The type sites of the Jorve culture is Jorve, Ahmednagar district in Maharashtra. Extensive occupations of the Jorve culture succeed the Malwa culture at Prakash, Daimabad and Inamgaon. Stone and copper using agricultural communities have been reported from the eastern India too. In northern Bihar, at a place called Chiran, remains of an ancient village settlement have been found. People lived in small houses made of bamboo and mud plaster. They ate rice and fish and hunted many wild animals. They too used black and red ware pottery. Similar kinds of settlements have been reported from Sahagaura in Gorakhpur, UP and Sonpur in Gaya, Bihar, where people seem to have grown wheat and barley also. In West Bengal, the sites of Pandu Rajar Dhilu in the Bardhaman district and the Mahisdal in the Birbhum district have yielded similar evidences. All these settlements have been dated between 1500 से 750 BC. Let us examine the various characteristics of these cultures. Pottery, diagnostics feature. We will briefly review the pottery of these Chalcolithic cultures. The Kaitha ware is characterized by three fabrics: a thick and sturdy red slipped ware painted with designs in dark brown, a red painted buff ware. This ware is thin with fine fabric, and a combed ware having incised pattern and generally without a slip. The majority of the pots of the sturdy red slipped ware have a ring base. The ring base recalls the pre-Harappan Soti types. Soti culture in Rajasthan is known from several sites in the valley of Gaggad Saravasti, which have yielded a pottery that is akin to the pre-Harappan pottery of Kalibangan. There are 7 kinds of wares in Ahar pottery, but its most characteristic type is the black and red ware painted in white. This Savalda culture is characterized by a black on red painted pottery, which is decorated with naturalistic designs such as birds, animals and fishes. The Malwa ware is to some extent coarse in fabric and has a thick buff slip over, which patterns are executed in black or dark brown color. The Prabhas and Rangpur wares are both derived from the Harappan black on red painted ware, but since the latter has a gloss, it is referred to as the lustrous red ware. The Jorve ware is painted black on red and has a matte surface treated with a red wash. In addition to these characteristic forms, all these cultures have other associated wares which are mostly red or grey. The pottery is wheel made, but there are also handmade forms. The pottery shapes which are usual to these cultures are bowls, basins, globular jars with concave necks, dishes, lotas, a small pot with a carnate body, a bulbous bottom and a flaring rim, etc. A distinctive feature of the Malwa pottery is seen in the series of small goblets on solid pedestals, and the distinctive forms of the Jorve culture are carinated bowls, spouted jars with flaring mouths, and high-necked globular vases. Economy. A greater part of the region in which these Chalcolithic cultures flourished is the zone of black cotton soil. The climate is semi-arid and the rainfall varies between 400 से 1000 mm. The mainstay of the economy of these Chalcolithic cultures was subsistence agriculture and stock raising. Dependence on wild game and other food sources, such as fish, is also there. Cultivated crops. Carbonized remains of seeds recovered in the excavations at some sites. Some of the sites indicate that a variety of crops were raised by these farming communities. The main crops were barley, wheat, rice, bajra, jowar, lentil, horse gram, hyacinth bean, grass pea, black gram, and green gram. Other plants utilized were jamun, behada, wild date, bear, myrobalan, etc. Barley was the principal cereal during this period. Evidence from Inamgaon suggests that the practice of crop rotation, harvesting of summer and winter crops, and artificial irrigation. A massive embankment, 240 meter long and 2.40 meter wide, was built at Inamgaon during early Jorwe period, 1400 से 1000 BC, to divert the flood water through a channel 200 meter long, 4 meter wide, and 3.5 meter deep. That the black cotton soil was plugged for farming operations is suggested by the find of an odd prototype of the plugshare made from the shoulder bone of cattle at Walki, not very far from Inamgaon. Animals. The excavations have revealed evidences of both domesticated as well as wild animals. The domesticated animals during the Chalcolithic period were cattle, sheep, goat, dog, pig, horse. The bones of cattle and sheep, goat predominate at most of the sites. The cut and chop marks on the bones of these animals indicate that they were slaughtered for food. Age determination of these bones has indicated that most of the animals were slaughtered when they were young, ranging from 3 months to 3 years in age. The wild species found are black buck, four-horned antelope, nilgai, barasinga, sambar, chittal, wild buffalo, and one-horned rhinoceros. Bones of fish, waterfowl, turtle, and rodents have also been found at some of the sites. Bones of marine fish species have been found at Inamgaon, and the source of these fish could be either Kalyan or Mahad. The nearest creek ports 200 km west of Inamgaon. The charred bones of both the domestic and wild species indicate that they were cooked in open fire. Houses and habitations. Let us briefly examine the housing pattern of these cultures. Rectangular and circular houses with mud walls and thatched roofs are the most common types, though there are variations in house sizes from site to site. Most of the houses of the Savalda culture were single-roomed rectangular houses, but there are some with 2 or 3 rooms. Ahar people built houses on plinths made of schist. Walls were built on these plinths with mud or mud brick, and the walls were decorated with quartz cobbles, and floors were made of burnt clay or clay mixed with river gravels. The sizes of the Ahar houses ranged between 7 meter by 5 meter and 3 meter by 3 meter, and the longest house measured more than 10 meter in length. Bigger houses had partition walls and chulas, that is hearths, and quartzite saddle columns in the kitchen. The Malwa settlements such as those found at Navdatoli, Prakash, Daimabad, and Inamgaon were quite large. Evidence at Inamgaon suggests that some kind of planning was adopted in the laying out of the settlements. Of the 20 and odd houses exposed at Inamgaon, the majority were aligned in a roughly east-west orientation. Though these houses were built close to each other, they had an intervening space of about 1 to 2 meters in between, which might have served as a lane. These houses at Inamgaon were large, 7 by 5 meter rectangular structures with a partition wall. The houses had a low mud wall and gabled roof. Inside the house was a large oval fire pit with raised sides for keeping the fire under control. The houses at Navdatoli were provided with 1 or 2 mouthed chulas in the kitchen. The grain was stored in deep pit silos, 1 meter in diameter and 1 meter deep. Circular mud platforms, 1.5 meter in diameter, inside the houses suggest that they probably served as bases to keep beams of wicker work for grain storage. A significant feature of the Jorwe culture, of which more than 200 sites are known so far, though the majority of them can be classified as villages ranging from 1 to 4 hectares, is the presence of a large centers in each region. These centers are Prakash, Daimabad, and Inamgaon, respectively in the valleys of Tapi, Godavari, and Bhima. The Jorve settlement at Daimabad was the largest, covering an area from more than 30 hectares. Prakash and Inamgaon cover about 55 hectares each. A noteworthy feature of the Jorve, both early and late settlements and Inamgaon, is that the houses of the artisans such as the potter, the goldsmith, the lapidary, the ivory carver, etc., were located on the western periphery of the principal habitation area, whereas those of well-to-do farmers were in the central part. The size of the artisan houses is smaller than those of the well-to-do. Both these aspects, that is, the position and the size of the houses, demonstrate social differentiation in terms of a lower position for artisans in the society. Interestingly enough, some of these Chalcolithic sites have fortification walls around the settlement. For example, Iran and Nagda in Madhya Pradesh of the Malwa culture and Inamgaon during Jorve period have a fortified mud wall with stone rubble bastions and ditch around the habitation. At Inamgaon has been noticed a change in house types from early Jorve to late Jorve period. The early Jorve houses were largely rectangular structures with low mud walls about 30 cm high, surrounded by wattle and daub constructions. These houses were laid out in rows with their longer axes in a roughly east-west orientation. These houses have an open space in between, approximately 1.5 meter wide, which might have served as a road or lane. The late Jorve houses, on the other hand, depict a picture of poverty. Large rectangular huts were no more built and instead there were small round huts with a lower mud wall in clusters of 3 or 4. The pit silos were replaced by a 4-legged storage jar supported on 4 flat stones. The overall evidence indicates that this shift from early Jorve to late Jorve was due to decline in agriculture as a result of drop in rainfall. Investigations in western and central India have disclosed that at the close of 2nd millennium BC, there was a drastic climatic change in this region that led to increasing aridity, forcing the people to resort to a semi-nomadic existence. This conclusion is based on calculations of the percentages of animal bones found from different faces. It seems that increasing aridity during the late Jorve period led to the decline of agriculture, and economy based on farming changed over to sheep-goat pastoralism. Other characteristics: all these cultures are characterized by a stone blade flake industry based on siliceous stones such as chalcedony, chert, jasper, and agate. The tools include long parallel-sided blades, blunted back blades, serrated blades, pen knives, lunettes, triangles, and trapezies. Some of these blade tools have a shine on the sharp edge, suggesting that they were used for harvesting. Polished stone axes, which are typical of Neolithic Chalcolithic culture of Karnataka, Andhra, have also found at some of these sites, though they are not copper objects, consist of flat axes or cells with convex cutting edges, arrowheads, spearheads, chisels, fish hooks, mid-ribbed swords, blades, bangles, rings, and beds. Among the finds at Kayatha, one pot contained 28 copper bangles. Some of these objects, like the axe, were cast in mold, while others were hammered to shape. The most prolific item among the ornaments are beds made of carnelian, jasper, chalcedony, agate, shell, etc. A necklace made of 40,000 microbeds of steatite has been found in a pot belonging to the Kayatha culture. At Inamgaon were found beds of gold and ivory, a spiral earring of gold, and anklets of copper. Terracotta objects are found frequently at majority of the sites. These are in the form of human and animal figurines. The stylized terracotta bulls, which are mostly miniature sized, found in the Chalcolithic levels at Kayatha, some with a prominent hump, some with horns twisted backwards, and some with the horns projecting forward horizontally, are of special interest. Considering the occurrence of numerous terracotta bull figurines at several of these Chalcolithic sites, it can be suggested that bull was a sacred animal, though the possibility that some of them could have been toys cannot be ruled out. The Daimabad Hoard. By a chance discovery, 4 objects on the top of the mound, below which is a deposit 1.2 meter thick belonging to the Jorve period, came to light at Daimabad. These are massive, all solid cast and weight over 60 kg. Elephant. This is the heaviest, 25 cm in height and 25 cm in length, and stands on a cast copper platform with 4 brackets with four brackets beneath pierced to take axles. Rhinoceros. This is slightly smaller and also stands on a cast platform. The brackets contain two solid copper axles with cast wheels attached. This rhinoceros recalls the one inscribed on the Indus Hills, two-wheeled chariot with a rider. The chariot is attached by a long pole to the yoked oxen which stand on two cast copper strips, but there are no brackets for wheel. The chariot has two uprights supporting a cross bar behind which the rider stands. This piece has no parallels. Buffalo. This also has wheels and axle in position. This has some parallels in the figures of buffalo in both terracotta and case copper or bronze found from Mohenjo-daro. The copper of the Daimabad hood compares with that of other copper objects found in excavations, and spectrometric analysis of this metal has revealed that it is unalloyed by tin or other metals. According to one view, the Daimabad hood is datable to the late Harappan period 1600 से 1300 BC. Another suggestion is that they could probably belong to the same technological group as the Kallur hood. Religion, beliefs and systems. The finds in the excavations also shed light on the religious practices and beliefs of the people. Mother goddesses. That these Chalcolithic communities had a belief in the mother goddesses and worshipped her is attested by the finding of the female figures of the clay, both baked and unbaked. These female figures are both with heads and without heads. From the lower levels of occupation, dated to the middle of the 2nd millennium BC at Nivasa, comes a large headless female figures which is made without clearly showing physical features. Inamgao has also yielded similar terracotta female figurines which show no physical features except breasts. Evidence for the worship of the mother goddesses has been recorded in the excavations of the early Jorwe house 1300 BC at Inamgao. Here, buried under the floor in a corner, was found an oval-shaped clay receptacle with a clay lid. Inside this receptacle was found a headless female figurine having large pendant breasts and also a bull figurine. These female figurines, including the one from the Inamgao, points to the worship of the goddess of fertility. These figurines, especially the headless ones, according to one suggestions, may represent the goddess Shakambhari of the early historic period, the goddess of vegetative fertility, who was worshipped for warding off gods. Male figurines are rare in the Chalcolithic settlements. It has been suggested that the male figurines of the clay, two of them being unbaked and one baked, found in the late Jorwe levels 1700 BC at Inamgao, may possibly be identified as gods. In this context, a painted jar of Malwa period 1600 BC is considered to be of some religious significance. This pot has two panels. In the upper panel is painted a scene depicting a human figure wearing a garment of twigs covering the loin and is surrounded by stylized animals such as stag, deer, peacocks, etc. The lower panel shows springing tigers or panthers, which are also stylized. This vessel, richly decorated with elaborate paintings, was probably meant for some ritualistic use. Likewise, finds of solid cast copper elephant, buffalo, etc. at Daimabad could have religious functions. Burial practices. Disposal of the dead by the burial was a common custom. Adults as well as children were usually buried in a north-south orientation, the head towards the north and the leg towards the south. Adults were, in a majority of cases, buried in an extended position, whereas children were buried in urn bullions either in single pots or, more often, in two pots, placed horizontally mouth to mouth in a pit. Adults and also children were buried in a pit which was dug into the house floor and rarely in the courtyard of the house. It is interesting to note that during the Jorwe period, in the case of adults, the position below the ankle was purposely chopped off. These practices, like burying the dead within the precincts of the house and chopping off the feet, could possibly suggest a belief in which the dead were restrained from turning into ghosts who could become malevolent. The adult burials in several cases contain offspring's grave goods, which are usually two pots or sometimes more in number. One adult burial of the late Jorwe period contained 15 pots. It was also common to bury the dead with personal ornaments. In an adult burial of the late Jorwe period, a large copper ornament was found near the neck of the skeleton. A child in a twin urn burial of the same period had a necklace consisting of 12 beds of copper and red jasper alternately. The Jorve period has also disclosed some unusual burials at Inamgaon. Here has been found a four-legged urn burial made of unbaked clay, and its southern face resembles a human body. This urn, 80 cm in height and 50 cm in width, which has a wide mouth with a featureless rim, contained the skeleton of a male of about 30 to 40 years old in a sitting posture. In this case, the proportion below the ankle is not chopped off. The burial offerings were a spouted spot with the painting of a boat design having long oars. What this boat design reminds one of the present day Hindu beliefs that the departed soul has to cross waters in a ferry to reach the heavenly abode. This person who was given such an elaborate burial could be of high status, or the ruling chief of the settlement, or belonging to a social group that practiced a different kind of burial. Social organizations. In the Chalcolithic cultural regions, a study of distribution pattern of the sites seems to suggest that these sites were of two types, one type representing regional centers and the other type representing village settlements. This difference or hierarchy has been taken to suggest that some form of administrative organization was present in the Chalcolithic cultures. This also suggests that the Chalcolithic social organization was characterized by ranking. The presence of an administrative authority is further supported by existence of public structures such as fortifications, rampart and moat, granaries, the embankment and canals, well documented at Inamgaon, etc., found at different sites. Seen in the larger context of the post-Harappan developments, these Chalcolithic cultures betray discernible influences of the Harappan culture, though in a residual form. All the same, they are marked by strong regional elements and also display trade links and cultural contacts between each other. These metal-using farming communities, which flourished in the 2nd millennium BC, disappeared around the 1st millennium BC, excepting late Jorve, which continued till 700 BC. One possible reason attributed for such a decay, on the basis of analysis of soil sample overlying these Chalcolithic horizons, was increasing aridity and unfavorable climatic conditions. Many of these settlements in the Godavari, Tapi and other valleys were deserted and were reoccupied after a gap of 6 or 5 centuries in the 4th century BC, heralded by urbanization. Let us sum up. By about 2000 BC, agricultural communities came into existence in different parts of India. These agriculturists used tools and implements made of stone and copper. In North India, these communities used various kinds of potteries like the OCP and BRW. A variety of copper tools have also been discovered. In Central India and Maharashtra, black soil zone excavations have shown the existence of Kaitha, Malwa and Jorve cultures by about 750 BC. Many of these agricultural communities adopted iron technology. The Chalcolithic communities showed distinct variations in their pottery traditions. The Iron Age potteries called the PGW and the NBPW were used over a larger area. During this period, there was greater interaction among various communities and a transition towards urbanization was taking place. The finds at the sites belonging to different cultures give detailed information about settlements, patterns, trade links, types of tools and ornaments and religious beliefs, etc. Chalcolithic का मतलब क्या होता है? Refers to communities which use copper and stone tools. Jatakas are stories relating to the previous births of the Buddha. Pit dwelling, a practice of making homes beneath the surface of the earth. Dwelling spaces used to be dug beneath the floor. Type site का होती है the site where a particular culture was first identified.